What's going on YouTube? Q back here again with another video for you. In today's video, I'm going to tell you how to get out of your leased vehicle or your financed vehicle. So for me, I have a leased vehicle which my wife drives and my GT350 which I drive, which is financed. And I'm going to tell you how you can get out of the cars. Like if I want to get out this lease tomorrow, I can get out. If I want to get out the Mustang tomorrow, I can get out. You're not stuck in them, but there are things you should know about it. So I'm going to tell you some information on that. So if you like content like that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, browse my channel. Let's jump into today's video. Okay, so the first method that I'm going to discuss on how to get out of your lease or your loan, and this part is going to be specifically talking about a lease. You can do a lease transfer, and there's a few different avenues you can use to do that. And one of the first ones I want to bring up are certain websites like swapalease.com. So that website is catered to those that are looking to either take on a new lease from someone else or to get rid of their lease. And I personally use that site to get rid of a lease. You pay like at the time, it was a few years ago, like a $50 fee to list your vehicle, and other people contact you about the car, and you kind of just negotiate what they're willing to pay, which they ended up paying whatever I paid. I'm not about to help anybody else out on the lease because I had a lot of miles on it. But with websites like that, and the vehicle that I had was a Ford Escape to be in particular, I just had to pay a $75 lease transfer fee to Ford, and the person that was taking on the lease, they filled out a credit app as if they were leasing the vehicle, which they were. And then after that paperwork was done, the lease was transferred from me to the next owner. And it was about, I forgot how many months was left, maybe 6 months left on that lease. So you can do that. You can post, especially on the website that's meant for it. And there's a couple more sites meant for that too. Or you can use the marketplace, like a Facebook marketplace, Craigslist. You can just post a vehicle for transfer, like a lease for transfer. Somebody can take on your lease. Just put that in your title, and they can pay whatever you're paying. So, or you can charge more, you can charge less. That depends on if they're willing to buy it. Some of the people look for deals, others are just looking for a vehicle in a shorter term than from the original lease, or just looking for a certain lease that they might not be able to find. So the first way to do it is to just transfer it. And you can do that for a loan as well. It's the same thing, fill out the credit app and they just take over the loan. You can use the same avenues. Actually, Swapalease, they put vehicles that are financed on there too, so you can do that. The second way to get out of that leased or financed vehicle, you can actually just outright sell it, especially a financed vehicle. Whatever you owe on it, if you are positive on it, you can just outright sell it, be done with the vehicle, wipe your hands. You can sell it privately or sell it to a dealership. I recommend selling privately. But in this market though, the dealerships are paying very close to what you can get privately. So keep that in mind in this particular time right now. Or for a leased vehicle, you can sell those as well. Actually, the vehicle that I'm driving now, I sold a previous lease. It was the same exact vehicle, but this one is more loaded. I just sold it to a dealership. So on a lease, you have a residual value, and that's what the vehicle will be worth once the lease is over with. So to keep in mind, I ended up coming out positive, but it doesn't always work out like that. The majority of the times it doesn't work out like that, if I'm honest. But however many months you have left, say if you have 10 months left and your lease is $100 a month, which is probably not, you'll have to add on that the 100 times 10, which is 1,000, added on to the residual value of the car, and that will be how much you owe to pay off the vehicle, plus or minus some fees or not, but that's generally how it works. So you'll have to be able to cover all that. If you aren't able to cover all that in a leased vehicle or a finance vehicle, then you will have to come out with that money out of pocket. And yeah, if you want to get out of a lease that badly, that's what you got to do. The whole thing has to be paid off before you can get out of it. So keep that in mind. Got to have the cash to get out. And this kind of ties in with selling the vehicle. It's kind of the same, kind of not the same. But the third thing you can do is trade in the vehicle. So trading in the vehicle, if you have a lease, you can get another lease or a loan. New vehicles generally have rebates. In the economy right now, that's not so much. Like, there aren't that many good deals out there. But say if you lease the vehicle and you don't really like the vehicle, you can trade it in on the car with, depending on what your reasons are. Like, I've traded in vehicles that I no longer wanted anymore. Or it's like, why am I paying this much on this car? I'm paying $500 a month on the cruise or whatever for some reason. You can get out of that lease and just trade it in, use those rebates to take money off and get yourself into a more reasonable lease. But $500 a month for a cruise is ridiculous. Hopefully you're not stuck in one of those. Or the same thing with the finance vehicle. When I trade in one of my leased cars, the first one I ever did, or when I transferred that lease, I also had another deal around that same period of time, but I financed the vehicle. It was a Ford Flex, and this works for vehicles that have huge rebates. So I was upside down on a vehicle. So to get out of this one, like, and just wipe my hands clean and walk away from it, I had to look for a vehicle that had a huge amount of rebates on it. And I found it was a new Ford Flex. It was a 2016, but the 2018s were on the lot. So long story short, I was basically able to get $10,000 in rebates on a brand new Ford Flex that had like 100 miles on it, never before owned, brand new. And I just used that to erase the negative equity that I had in the vehicle that I traded in, which was a Mazda 3 at the time. So there are strategies to get in and out. If you're upside down, I can make a whole new video for that on what you can do. But here's the takeaway from this. When you buy a vehicle, and if you plan on keeping them, just do your research. Like, financial problems can happen at any time, so you want to make sure you don't bite off more than what you can chew. When you buy a lease, make sure you have extra cash. You don't want to stretch it. Like, if your budget is $1,000 a month, you don't want to spend $500 of that on a lease, because it's not. You don't want to do that for a car. Like, you're supposed to spend a third of your total income. That's the rule of thumb on like a mortgage or a place to live. You don't want to spend that much on a car, but budget correctly. And if you know you're in and out of cars like me, I'm in and out of cars a lot. I've been in and out of 2 or 3 cars every year. For a person like me, buying used is probably the best option for me. There's some cases where buying new is the best option. Like in this market right now, I would not buy a used car. Buying new is the only way I would buy right now, because there aren't that many deals on used cars. They're going for more than MSRP. So you just have to do your research on things and do your homework. Make sure you get a good deal to where if you want to get out of a car, you can. But if you're stuck in the car, you have to be okay with that, or you got to pay the price. And there's a final thing that I didn't mention, which I would never do. And I advise you not to do this either, but it's out there. Just don't pay for the car. Just let it go to collections. They repo the car. You can wipe your hands. Your credit score will be messed up for quite some time, though. Like, I highly don't advise to do that. Like, I enjoy having good credit, so don't mess that up. And please don't do that. But that's an option. If that's what you choose to do, then let them take it away. Also, there's also a penalty you can play the leasing agency to turn it in, but that's another one of the worst options. Like, you don't want to do that. Stick to the first 3 that I mentioned, and that's probably the best that you can do. It's never really easy to get out of a car like that. Like, that's why dealerships exist. They make money off doing it. Dealerships, they know how to win at this game. Like, it's not really meant for the consumer to win at. Of course, if you study the market, you can, but for the average customer, you're not going to come out on top. Like, you just have to, the main thing to do is to buy the car and just pay it off. That's the best way. Make the best decision the first time so you don't have to come across this, because it can end up losing money, and it generally does end up losing you money. That's all of the ways that I know how to get out of a lease or a loan. If you have any more ways, let me know down in the comment section below. So the 3 things that I said was transfer, sell, trade in, take a huge hit on your credit. Whatever works best for you, do that. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't advise you on what to do financially, but those are probably your top options right there. Let me know if I missed any. And if it's your first time dropping by, consider subscribing. I post every week, so I do more sports car things, but I'll do financial videos as well. I'm into finances, so I'll try and sneak some of that in some of the time. It doesn't get the best views, but I think it's best for you all to know these things and take advantage of what's out there, or at least be hip to what you can do. Know your options. So, all right, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope this is able to help some of you out, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.